So look, I support the globalization of the game. What I don't support is the way Infantino operates. And when he's a ludicrous, preposterous figure, and he's been deeply humiliated this week. And this wouldn't have happened actually as quickly as this happened without the brilliance of Martin Ziegler's reporting for the Times.
The boss of FIFA. Is the job up for grabs? Well, Gianni Infantino thought he came up with a perfectly good plan to sell off parts of the World Cup for a few $1 billion. And all of a sudden, everyone's calling for your head. He's now fighting for his future as the most powerful man in football. The Sunday Times columnist Jason Cowley joins us now. He's also a published writer on the beautiful game, the author of the book, The Last Game, Love, Death and Football, about his personal love for football. Jason, you're laughing. Shall we just start? Jason's with us now, obviously. The World Cup, was it a triumph?
Yeah, good morning. I rather enjoyed it, actually. I was quite sceptical going into the tournament. It was the biggest World Cup ever. I think there were 48 teams. It looked like it was stretched over many, many weeks. I didn't like the hydration breaks. It was divided. The game became a game of 4 quarters rather than 2 halves. I thought the halftime pop concert during the final was absolutely ludicrous. But overall, what triumphs above all else is the football itself, is what happens on the pitch. That's what matters. And there were some tremendous games, I thought, and a really good competition.
I have to say, Jason, I'm not wholly surprised you weren't completely amused by the halftime show. Lots of people were bemused. It definitely had some American imports, didn't it, especially that caused upset and controversy. You didn't mention there the overturned red card as well.
Well, that's a more serious point, actually. And I thought that was a very dangerous moment for the game of football when Florent Balogun had been sent off in the previous game, the United States star striker. And then for the round of 32 match against Belgium, actually it was a round of 16 match against Belgium in the knockout phase, he would have been banned for that game under the rules of football. But Trump reached out to his friend Infantino. Things happened behind the scenes, and that red card was overturned. That was completely unprecedented, actually. That seemed to be the diktat of one man. Infantino says not. It was a committee decision, but that was a truly awful decision. And immediately, anyone who loves the game of football was deeply alarmed about that, as they should have been.
They were deeply alarmed, and yet we didn't see anything like what we've seen, the scale, the reaction to Infantino's latest plans. Why do you think that was? I remember we had a conversation on the programme to say, look, if people keep talking about how corrupt FIFA is, well, why don't they stand up and do something about it? Why have we not reached a tipping point then?
I think Infantino was tolerated while he was sort of delivering ever bigger tournaments, ever more money, greater profits, despite the way he operates and also the very opaque way that FIFA operates at the very top of the game. And also his power base is the smaller nations. Don't forget the smaller footballing nations. Don't forget he took the World Cup to Qatar. Morocco will be one of the co-hosts for the next tournament. He has a lot of the African nations behind him. Some of those smaller footballing nations are big supporters of Infantino because his mission is to globalize the game. I understand that, and that's a good mission. You want as many nations playing football so long as the money trickles back down to the grassroots and that more young people can start playing the game, boys and girls, men and women. So look, I support the globalization of the game. What I don't support is the way Infantino operates. And when he's a ludicrous, preposterous figure, and he's been deeply humiliated this week. And this wouldn't have happened actually as quickly as this happened without the brilliance of Martin Ziegler's reporting for the Times.
Yes, well, absolutely. Infantino seems to have made a terminal miscalculation. How do you think that happened?
I think it's hubris. I think it's arrogance. I think it's megalomania. I think he was became closer and closer to Donald Trump. Do you remember when Donald Trump was announcing his board of peace to an attempt to separate, to solve or intervene in the crisis in Gaza? World leaders arrived to meet him. I think it was in Sharm el-Sheikh, actually. And one of those people who appeared at that summit was Infantino, as if he was representative of a major nation state rather than the organisation that runs world football. I mean, he's a truly preposterous figure. And I think the way he's been running football has been deeply damaging. But he came unstuck this week. And as you said, I think it should be terminal for him.
Why was this so unpalatable?
Because he was attempting to sell off the football. the World Cup to a minority stake to private equity. And he was doing it in a way that was opaque, underhand, secretive, and he was rushing it through. There was no attempt to enter a long process of consultation. The members of FIFA were given a very tight deadline, I think it was September, by which they either had to agree or face the consequences. I mean, the way it was being handled for such a monumental act, the selling of the World Cup to private interest, it was a truly astonishing moment. But he's come unstuck.
He's also not completely unstuck yet. He may not resign. There may be a vote of no confidence. We don't also, Jason, yet have someone else who's prepared to say, OK, I'll take on the job.
Not yet. I mean, when I say he's unstuck, I mean he's a humiliated figure and a much reduced figure when he's attempting to lead such an organisation. And he's got rival organisations, UEFA and others, openly hostile to him now. Indeed, he actually rose originally through UEFA before he joined FIFA. He's a European, he's a Swiss-Italian. And so that was where he rose through UEFA. But he's got major opponents now in these institutions. Fans absolutely loathe the guy. I mean, he's deeply unpopular. He has been delivering ever bigger tournaments, bigger profits. So on that, some would say he's been leading successfully. But it's the style of the man, the arrogance of the man, the hubris of the man that I think many can't tolerate. You used the word terminal. I'm surprised he hasn't resigned already, to be honest with you. But that shows he lacks fundamental human decency.
OK, I think you'll disagree. I wish we had an interview with him. We don't.
Well, I wish you would have an interview.
Yeah, it would be excellent.
He needs to get in front of the media, doesn't he?
Absolutely, he does. The final question, I think, does FIFA have a question mark really about how they fund football in developing countries?
Yes, but that's important, and that's a different conversation about how the game is being developed in developing countries, and it is being developed. I mean, it is a wonderful game, football, and what it does so well is it can unite people of different races, nationalities, different sexes. It can bring everybody together in these wonderful moments of national celebration, not just national football, the national team, the international football, but also the club game. I mean, look, when Arsenal won the league at the end of the season, they won the Premier League for the first time since 2004. So it was a major victory for them. The celebrations, not just in London, but in Nairobi, in Lagos, in parts of Thailand, were truly astonishing to behold. I mean, you just look on the internet, all these people celebrating and marching in their Arsenal shirts. It is the global game. It does bring people together, and therefore the stewardship of the game matters. How it is run, how it operates, who the custodians of the games are. This really matters.
Jason, thank you. Jason Cowley, columnist for the Sunday Times, talking to us today about, well, in part, his book, The Last Game, Love, Death and Football, about his personal love for the great game.